adequate. Needs improvement.
I would say they're empathetic, but lacking in resources, maybe.
Tough to get. Yeah, I do think you have to fight to get it. It's almost like whoever screams the loudest is going to get the most support, and that's not what it should be.
Could do more.
Not everyone has a mental illness, but we all have mental health. And just like our physical health, it is something we need to look after. Mental health is frequently overlooked. There is still a stigma attached to mental illness, meaning people are less likely to admit to struggling and less likely to seek help. According to a 2018 student experience survey, 1 in 4 UK university students are experiencing mental health problems. The University of East Anglia have a wellbeing service for students which offers workshops and counselling sessions for those who are struggling with their wellbeing and mental health. However, this is a service that has been heavily criticised.
I'm 22, I'm a film and television student, and my experience with the wellbeing services, my mental health hadn't always been good. I'm a long sufferer of kind of like depression and anxiety and things like that, and it just kind of, you're moving from home and being by yourself all of a sudden, it kind of takes a horrible turn in a way, and I just wanted some support and some help. To be honest, for me, what was frustrating was that I needed just to see someone, just for a couple of sessions at most, just to get my head right and get everything back in the swift of things. And I was told like it would be a month and a half until I could see someone. And to me that felt really, I felt a bit let down just on because we kind of expect to be supported, and it just suddenly, at that moment, it felt like I wasn't being supported. And a month and a half went by and I had that appointment booked and I got there and it didn't matter anymore. And in that meeting we talked about what was going on and what was happening, and it was what I needed, and that was good, but it just felt like, where were you a month ago when I really needed you? And it sparked more worries to me, because I was thinking, where would this be if it was someone who was on the edge and they were told they'd have to wait a month and a half? When you're in an establishment that kind of prides itself on being community and helping, it would be a bit nicer to know that there's always going to be a kind of immediate response, or at least a quickish response. But you know, I can't say that other people have definitely benefited from it, and I have friends who of course have benefited from it, but just for me in that specific case, I was a little let down. Yeah.
I'm a third year English literature student, and I first went to student support in first year. When I went, I think I went quite early on in the term, so they saw me quite quickly. They referred me to a counsellor, and I saw them over in Suffolk Terrace for a 6-week course of counselling. And halfway through I realised that she was actually making me feel worse than I was before I did the course, because she was just making me bring up a lot of stuff from my past that I didn't want to bring up, and rather than giving me solutions or helping me move forward, I was just kind of dwelling on like the negative. So I went to student support and told them that I didn't think it was right, and if they could give me some other form of help, and they basically said that I would have to go on an 8-month waiting list for CBT, and if I didn't do that, then I could do other things like mindfulness courses in like groups, or other group activities. So I didn't really want to do anything where I'd have to like talk about my feelings, because I wasn't really into that. So I did the mindfulness thing, and that was actually really good. And I still practice mindfulness. But in terms of the actual counselling, I think what they offered me was inadequate, and they never actually told me what kind of counselling it was, or why I had had it, or anything about maybe what was maybe wrong with me, or what needed to be improved on. Because they didn't give me any of that information, there was nowhere I could go either after. So I was kind of stuck in a bit of a rut.
It was in my foundation year that I went to student support, because student finance said I could have a mentor, which is similar to counselling, and for the first 2 years that was fine. After my foundation year, my mentor actually left to go back to Ireland, so I got someone else, and that was all fine, and she's still my mentor till today, so she's really lovely. But in my second year of my actual degree, student support had changed its mentoring programme, so instead of it going through the university from student finance, it went through a different company called Randstad, and because there were so many students from loads of different universities all getting transferred and it was so disorganised, there was about an 8-week period where I was going from one mentoring meeting a week to none whatsoever. And I tried to go to student support to see if I could get any other type of support during those 8 weeks. They said no, there's like at least a 6-week waiting period to see if you even qualify. It was awful. I had to really fight to get my mentor back and to get taken seriously because they had changed all the extension criteria as well, so it was just everything had changed and I was given no help. So up until this point it was like going really well, and then just...
I'm a third-year student at UEA, and my experiences with student service really came about this year in September. In August I self-referred myself, and they emailed me back saying we have a huge waiting list, we don't know when we're going to get you in. And they finally got back to me about an appointment in October, mid-October. And then when I attended that one, they told me, okay, so we think we're going to refer you to CBT, but that's also a huge waiting list. And the first available appointment we have is early January. So I took that because I didn't really have much option for anything else. And I attended the early January session of therapy, which was really just an assessment. Nothing was really addressed, which I'm not surprised, but it's the fact that half the year's gone and nothing has really been, I haven't really learned anything new. I'm in the same position I was back in August. And at this time, about half a month after that appointment, they still haven't gone into contact with me. This isn't like before where I knew it was several months away, but it was booked. I have literally no idea when I can see them again. So for now, all I'm doing is I'm being passed around to different people saying, yeah, we think CBT will help, but we just can't get you in for that.
When I first started at university, I felt there was a really strong stigma behind it, and I remember walking into the student support services for the first time, and I literally had the hood of my coat up to like hide my face, so if anyone saw me that knew me would know that I was going in there. And I think the university could maybe do more to help reduce that stigma and to make the student support services not look so much of a no man's land, make it look more kind of welcoming, not just for people that like have issues, that it's somewhere that everyone can seek help.
It's a funny question because, like, of course you do, because you feel like you have Nightline, you have all these kind of services. But because of my experience, I would say that I feel supported more by like my friends and my family and by external sources rather than my actual university.
Yes and no.
I feel like they're trying to support me, but they just don't have the right equipment to help. I feel like they can help with maybe minor problems, but anything that's a lot more serious, anything that's a lot more long term, and they don't really know what to do for you, but pass you on to other people in the hopes that they can help.
Just having someone to talk to about what I'm going through and stuff really is helpful, so it's sort of a weird sort of priority list I think they have. I don't think every student is treated equally or as they should be.
Yeah, I feel like they've done all they can to help, especially when I've spoken to students that go to other universities and have told me about their experiences. But I mean, we can always do more. Services apart from Nightline. I think the pets thing is really cool. I don't know any other universities that do anything like that. And I know that lots of people that bring in their pets are also students, which is nice, so it's kind of closing that community up.
On the one hand, I'm quite happy that they are trying to offer other services. so that if you can't get an appointment, then there is at least other people you can turn to. But again, I feel it's the same problem. It's helpful for very, very minor issues. I feel if you have anything more serious, then it's not particularly helpful.
For me, with the support that I usually get, I feel like phoning up Nightline wouldn't do anything. Like mine's a bit more long term. I don't know, it might be useful for like a one night thing if you like get in an argument with your house or like something's happened that one night, but otherwise no. But security are really good too. Do you like the security at UEA? I feel really safe at UEA, and they do respond really quickly, which is good, but other than that I don't really know what other sort of help they have.
I don't really know about the other services.
The university and for freshers had this really incredible system where you had student mentors, I'm sure people know, and they basically, if you call them, they'll come and they'll sit and they'll talk to you. And so we had situations where this person locked themselves in their room, we didn't know what was going on, and it was really stressful, and we were worried desperately about that person. Well, they ended up calling Nightline, and they sent these people around, and that was an amazing immediate response. Like, I have to give UEA credit for that service, but it was mainly, I think it was run by students, so I think it was a student officer thing, and like, you know, I should be very proud of that. I think listen more. There are so many people who I know who are so frustrated and have this kind of terrible, it's got a terrible reputation, right? Like, if you look at the student support services here, if you'd ask any UEA student, they would say bad. And I'm not sure much has been done to help that image, because you just hear the same stories.
Focusing on first years would be helpful. So for me, the toughest time so far at university has been first year. Reducing the stigma in terms of like not being okay being at university would be helpful, maybe coming from older students and also coming from the university itself. Also advertising events in a way that makes them seem appealing rather than kind of traumatising.
The university should try and engage more to get students to help other students, because university can be quite an isolating experience for some people, and that can really spark anxiety. I know people who have really struggled with being isolated and finally then merge into a friendship group or something and they feel supported, and if the UEA could do more to set things up like that, that would be amazing.
I feel just offering a lot more variety rather than just listening workshops where you learn, you know, to address your feelings. That's all fine, but I need like solid advice on what to do, and I feel like they don't offer that at the moment.
It needs to think about putting more money into mental health people, because I know it's part of fund is the reason is poor funding. Mental health isn't funded properly, and whether that be the government, whether that be the university, one of those things, it's got to be just at the point, you know, money is money, health. I mean, there's no real debate there. There isn't.
It just needs to be more organised. The whole university just needs to be more organised.
I reached out to the UEA SU's Welfare, Community and Diversity Officer to inform students where they can go if they feel let down with UEA student support services and are struggling for help. She said, "At UEA SU, we recognise the importance of mental health and that university can be a stressful time in students' lives with lots of changes and deadlines. We run a campaign called Your Mental Health Matters. Through this, we work with student support services in pushing and recruiting more therapists and wellbeing advisors and asking for better funding of these services. We run wellbeing services to support students while at university, and these are largely aimed at reducing loneliness, such as the Buddy Scheme and the Courage Project. We also aim to increase physical activity, which is known to improve wellbeing, through our sports clubs and dog walking scheme. If you're a student struggling with your mental health, don't hesitate to reach out for help. It is clear that universities in the UK need to invest and improve on their wellbeing services, and hopefully this will come to fruition sooner rather than later."
If you're going to compare us to universities like Bristol, ours are like above and beyond better, but I think there's still so much work to do.
Yeah, we're doing everything we can, but come on, you could do a bit more. Like, there's always more that could be done.